Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Hope you're all safe and well. Here's a reminder of what happened to my Hobby King Corsair.
Let me get some air. Oh, I lost it again. Oh, I lost it again. Oh, I lost it again. Okay. Don't know what these are. Oh, that's the sticky weight. Wing looks okay. Body looks okay. Split open, I can fix that.
That's completely melted away there, and that would explain the signal loss. It didn't look that bad, but upon further investigation it's taken a lot of damage. But I'm not one to be beaten easily, and I've got the things I need to fix it, so I'm fixing it. Damage. Well, I've taken out the speed controller. It's a 20 amp Beck speed controller, 3mm bullet connections for the motor. You can see the wires have all melted and burnt out. This was an extension I'd put on after I'd already burnt out the JST connector by putting it on the wrong way on the battery. But there's definitely a difference in the speed controller wiring and the stuff I bought from eBay. I'm still looking around because, believe it or not, this silicon wire is 18 AWG. This was 22, and the higher the number, the smaller the wire. Now I've only been able to find 20 AWG silicon covered wire with JST plugs on the end. But here it is. I'm not using it. I will repair it. I will put on a connector on the end here, and I'll keep it as my spare with all the spare parts I've got for the Hobby King 800mm series. Right, the motor. So I've got a helicopter going over. This is what's left of the motor. The shaft was actually broken and wedged inside the foam casing. As I was trying to take the casing apart, the fuselage apart to get the prop out, to get the motor out, it just fell apart basically. So what I've done is I've taken the motor off the motor mount. Now if I can bring your attention to this little area on my workboard. Okay. This motor is identical to the motor that was in the Corsair. This has come straight out of a spare Hurricane I had. Here's the Hurricane. It's a donor plane that I purchased because all the parts are the same on all the planes. You see, this is where it was mounted. That motor was mounted, and I've just used an Allen key up through there and taken the motor out. I've also taken the speed controller out of here because that too is a 20 amp speed controller, and it's now tucked away in there. I've got to come back to this bit and tell you. So the speed controller is tucked away in there, and I have a proper, at the moment it's a JST connector and it's on 18 AWG. We'll come back to what I've done with that bit because I made quite a few changes. So let's go back to the motor situation. This is the original firewall, or the motor mount, that was inside the Corsair. This mount is exactly the same as the Hurricane mount. So the motor will in fact just go onto there, and you use your Allen key to tighten it up, so that's all good. the only thing I had to do on the motor, so first I had to take the motor out of the Hurricane, and that was easy. Then remove the spinner. When you remove the spinner, you have to remove the hub from the shaft. The hub has 3 blades in it. Remove the blades. They're spare blades if you want them. Here are the blades. They're exactly the same blades as the Corsair uses. And in fact, the Hurricane uses exactly the same hub. So had I split the hub, I would have been able to use this one, spray it silver. They are identical. So I've got my motor. I've taken everything off it. This black piece came off the Corsair, and it's got a nut on the inside, and you screw it down as far as it will go, and it's some sort of spacer. This nut here is the nut that goes in the center of the Corsair's hub, and that screws down onto the shaft up to the spacer. Then you screw this on over the top. So that's from the Corsair, that's from the Corsair, that's from the Corsair. Everything else, the actual motor itself, is from the Hurricane. So let's look at the prop. This is the Corsair hub because it's silver. Turn it over, 3 screws, and I've just replaced 1 blade. And I happen to have some stickers, so I put a sticker on it so you can't tell the difference. And of course I have a spare hub. I've got a bit of information, but I'm afraid I cannot recall who asked for it. One of my viewers, and I apologise for not remembering, they actually broke a prop. They had to take this part off. And in one of my videos I did say be very careful because the nut sits in there, and if you tip it, it will just drop out and you could lose it. Well, they lost theirs and they don't have a spare. So what I said I'd do is tell them the size. And now's a great opportunity. So there is the nut. It is 5mm side to side, and the thread hole in the middle is 3mm. And that's where it goes, right in the centre of your hub. And then you can screw down onto the motor shaft. So it's 5mm is the actual size of the physical nut, 3mm is the size of the hole for the thread. Now here's the bad news. There's a bit of wood there, there's a bit of wood there, there's a bit of wood there, and there's actually wood missing in between. So the firewall was completely destroyed. I have enough to reconstruct it, as you saw. So power wise I'm okay, but that's only because I decided a long time ago, because of the complete lack of spares from Hobby King, to buy a second Hawker Hurricane. Now this took a lot of hammering when it hit the ground. I have removed the cowl flaps. They're just a curve of foam that's glued on with this rubberized cement, and you can get your hand under there and take them off. So when I've finished doing the rebuild, I can actually glue a cowl flap back in place just like that. So what I've actually done is I've cut away in the cockpit a recess so I can run the ORX cables up into the receiver. As you can see, it's an AR620. Where I cut the hole here, I've put the piece of foam back, the original piece of foam. This is all held in with hot glue. And then I will spray the cockpit the grey colour as I did on my Lancaster, and it will sit over there like that. The hole in the cockpit is so I can push that in should I need to, click the bind button and do a bind. These are hot glued back, and there's now plenty of space in there to get a battery. Before we move on, I noticed that the Hurricane and the Mustang in this range didn't need nose weights, whereas my Corsair needed nearly 50 grams of weight. In fact, it needed exactly 50 grams, and I found out why. Let's see if I can get this. Maybe not be able to. Yes, there you go. Can you see that down there? Over there. That's weight Hobby King put in on both sides, obviously, to balance it out. And that is why the Hawker Hurricane flies without any nose weight. Tricky parts. Well, not really. The engine broke in half. But that's just a matter of gluing the ring back together. Okay, here's the bad news. Half the foam is missing on this side. The good news is I have it, and I will be epoxying this in so it becomes a flat wall. The engine mount goes here, and I've split this open enough so I can actually put it in myself, glue it in place, and then glue the fuselage together. And this is why I don't have the cowl on it, so I'll put rubber bands around while it's drying. Yeah, I think we're going to be repaired quite quickly.